price you pay to pursue your dreams. Grinding every day to get that dream. Ain't no holding back until you get your shot. One day you're gonna open your eyes and be on top. That's the price you pay to pursue your dreams. Grinding every day to get that dream. Ain't no holding back until you get your shot. One day you're gonna open your eyes and be on top. Been playing this game since I was 10 years of age. I wanted to make my mark ever since my Pop Warner days. When I strapped that helmet, I'm knocking dudes into a blaze. A lockdown corner going all the way through 7th and 8th grade. Entering high school, I'm ready to write another page. Busting my ass and lifting weights. It's a much higher level, but I'm still making plays. No time to party or bask in my glory days. It's college preparatory classes every single day. Living my life with that singular goal. It's the fire inside that makes me whole. Looking in the mirror, my muscles swole. I'm on a mission, and I'm never gonna stop. When the ball's in the air like Sherman, I'm a hawk. And I promise I'll overcome whatever life throws at me.
Alright, welcome everyone to the Ageless Movement Podcast. And this is a special edition of the podcast. Well, they're all special. But I would say this one's a little more special than most because it is...
Well, in a couple weeks, it will be Active Aging Week.
You know, it's this whole thing about jumping the gun. You know, I do it all the time, right?
What do you mean?
False start, number 12. Yeah, when we were talking about, the reopening gyms.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I just jumped into the stat and didn't even give you any context. That's kind of like this moment right now. Okay, so coming up, October 5th through October 11th, it is
Active Aging Week.
Active Aging Week. And if you've never heard of Active Aging Week, we should go over all the verbatim definition of it and just explain to you all why it's so significant. So this woman started, I'm kidding. So
we all want to be that woman.
Yes, that woman that can climb a wall.
That's a pretty high wall.
She's like, son, I can do this. You win. Okay, so it's the Active Aging Week is October 5th through the 11th. That's coming up, 2 weeks. And just to give you a verbatim definition we have here, the International Council on Active Aging first began in the Aging Week in 2003. This week is meant to celebrate how positive the process of aging can truly be. Active Aging Week encourages adults over the age of 50. That's me.
Just made it.
To take advantage of all that life has to offer. The goal of this week is to promote wellness initiatives and get bodies up and moving. Okay, so let's go down a little bit so they can see. This is really neat. This website has a timeline. So just to give you some perspective on things, 1950, Ike was president. That's how long ago that was. The National Social Welfare Assembly organized the first National Committee on Aging. So it really, that was the first national organization on aging. It's hard to believe they didn't have anything before that, but I guess people didn't live that long in those days. Well, you had the Great Depression before that, and I'm sure that accelerated aging quite a bit for older population at the time. And that's before we had, all the social safety nets in place. Okay, so we go to 1995, and we have the Aging and Health Program. The World Health Organization launched this, and the goal of the program was responding to the aging population. That's not too long ago, 95. So now we're getting more closer to present day. 2001, the ICAA was born. That's the International Council on Active Aging. That's the organization that actually started the first Active Aging Week in 2003. And I'm proud to say, if we go to the top here, 2017, there were more than 3,000 host organizations registered to participate in Active Aging Week. And what does that mean? Why am I proud? Well, the organization we work for, Adaptive PE, Redwood City, which I'm the vice president of, by the way, we have, toot my own horn, we've actually been sponsoring we've been organizing Active Aging Week for Veterans Memorial Senior Center in Redwood City in the Bay Area, California, since 2010. So, I won't call us architects, but pioneers. And Yeah, and what later on in the week, I'm going to interview Bruce Utek and see if we basically met the goals that he wanted as far as Active Aging Week is concerned, and his perspective on it. Because today we're going to talk about our perspectives on it. Okay. All right. So, Active Aging Week. What do we normally do now? I can't speak for every Active Aging Week, but I can say this: back in 2006. I went with a bunch of people from Redwood Cities, from the rec department in Redwood City. Stephanie Douglas was she was a rec supervisor at the time, and she arranged it so I can go with her to Las Vegas for an ICCA conference back in 2006, which things were still pretty much getting started then because it started in 2003. That was only 3 years after the formal kickoff of Active Aging Week. So it was a great experience. There were a lot of very smart people that presented during that week, and I'll always remember that week for a lot of different reasons. Some of it was my disappointment in the food in Las Vegas at the time. They didn't have that.
Don't know where to go.
They didn't have that all-you-could-eat stuff anymore, and I wanted to see somebody really cool perform that week at the Hard Rock Cafe. I was hoping to see like Lil Wayne or Sierra. That's on the weekend. I had to settle for Olivia Newton-John during the week.
I love Olivia Newton.
Yeah, she's cool, but come on, it was 2006. I didn't want to see her. Anyway, a lot of things happened that week, but it was a fun experience. I don't know if that's the best place to have Active Aging Week because everywhere you go, there's cigarette smoke in Las Vegas. Not the healthiest
escalators.
place. True, but my whole room smelled of smoke. And even when they said it was a smoke-free room, anytime you turn the bathroom light on, it would, turn the blower on, the defroster, and it would literally blow smoke into my bathroom and throughout the rest of my hotel room. So I never turned the light on in the bathroom the whole week I was there. It was interesting. Anyway, we'll get to more relevant things now. So, what is the purpose of Active Aging Week? It's really just to get people moving. Basically talk to them about the benefits of exercise, because everyone hears that in some capacity through their life. Oh, exercise is healthy for you. But what's really nice about Active Aging Week, you get into the specifics of why it's important to move and exercise. And it isn't just the physical exercise aspect of it. There is talk about the health and wellness lifestyle, which in some respects includes nutrition and just smart lifestyle choices. And of course, in the middle of that, front and center of all of that, is exercise. Because it's great if you eat properly, but I can tell you what, if you don't exercise, that's only half the battle. And, everyone probably has a little bit different goals in regard to Active Aging Week. I know at in Redwood City, at our nonprofit organization, and I guess I should walk around the issues behind that a little bit. So, adaptive PE is just essentially fitness for people with limitations. Now, I know that instantly you think of somebody that's disabled, but disabled, disability, those are kind of ambiguous terms, I would say. What is disabled? I mean, technically, I could say I'm disabled because I jumped the gun too much, and I'm losing hair. I've lost hair a long time ago, and I have asthma. But I don't generally consider myself disabled, right? So that's pretty much how you need to look at the situation. So it's basically fitness for people with limitations, which pretty much includes almost everyone, right? So yeah, that's what we do. Most of our population is, I would say 70 and up, somewhere around there. We do have a pretty strong baby boomer population that comes to our evening exercise classes. But when I think of baby boomers, I'm thinking of people that are like in their 60s that are still working, even their late 60s, getting into their 70s. So, and we have people in their 90s and up. We do. So, and basically, adaptive PE was pretty synonymous with community colleges in California, all through California, mainly the Bay Area, in Northern California, and also Southern California to some degree. And the whole idea is that once you and this is where it's a bit murky trying to describe what adaptive PE is. For many people, it's just older adults with a few limitations that want to remain active, that need a very knowledgeable instructor. And that's essentially what it is. Now, most of adaptive PE, its roots are in the community colleges. It was basically started by people like Carl Knopf, John Hogan, and Barbara McCarthy. I mean, there are basic three people that were instrumental in the development of adaptive PE. John Hogan taught at the College of San Mateo. He mentored me for many years. Barbara McCarthy taught for 29 years at Kenyatta College, and Carl Knopf, I think he taught, I don't know exactly, I should have researched that, at least 35 years. He'd already been there, he'd already had a full-time job, I think, before Barbara took her full-time job with Kenyatta College. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Kenyatta College, it's actually in, Woodside or Redwood City? It's right on
Redwood City.
Redwood City, yeah, okay. It's right off of 280. You might have seen it. Beautiful college, by the way. So she taught there for 29 years. Now, what's interesting is I think her first year of teaching, I think, was it 84? I think it was 84, right around there. So she taught about 5 years on campus. And then what happened was her program got pretty big, just like John Hogan's and Carl Knopf's. So what ended up happening, Kenyatta didn't have the space that the College of San Mateo and Foothill College had. So what they decided to do was partner up with Veterans Memorial Senior Center, which is just down the hill off of Jefferson Avenue in Redwood City. So Barbara moved her whole operation to Veterans Memorial Senior Center, and there were actually two buildings there. There was the Senior Center, and then right across the street, and I say the word street very tentatively, it's basically a parking lot, like a big horseshoe. Technically, yes, it's a street. It has a speed limit. It has
one way.
asphalt on it. It's one way. There's bad drivers on it. But it's just like literally, 15 feet away from each other, the wellness building from the senior center. Okay, my distance isn't that great. In yards, I could tell you, 40.
Okay.
All right. So the beautiful part about it is that, seniors could do all their programs at the senior center. They can walk across the street to adaptive PE. And it was a perfect partnership between, I would say, education and local government. So that went on for, like I said, the better part of 30 years. I taught for Foothill College. I taught for the College of San Mateo before that. And I used to teach with Barbara sometimes at Kenyatta, which was Veterans Memorial Senior Center. I filled in for her several times when she had some health issues. And I pretty much taught all over both districts. So that's what I did. And then the gloom and doom happened in 2008, September of 2008. We had a massive mortgage crisis, I should say, and it caused a massive economic implosion, much like we have today. And I would say the collateral damage of this was programs, community-based programs like adaptive PE. And what adaptive PE ended up doing was they made major cuts. And I was probably one of 8 or 10 instructors at Foothill College that were laid off in the spring of 2010. I could tell you to the day. It was June 2010. Why did it happen? There's a lot of reasons why. Of course, money is always front and center. One of the main problems was you had students coming out of high school that would normally go to a 4-year institution that could no longer afford to go to a 4-year institution. So they flooded CSM, they flooded Kenyatta, and Kenyatta had been chronically under-enrolled up to that point. And of course, Foothill College, De Anza College, so Foothill and De Anza are part of the same district if you don't know. The other district is the College of San Mateo, Kenyatta College, and Skyline College. That's a whole other district. And that's quite a large district when you think about it. Because you're covering from Redwood City almost into Woodside, right? All the way to Skyline, which is San Bruno. Or Daly, close to Daly City, right around there. So you're almost getting into San Francisco at that point. It's quite a large district. So what to speed things up here? So what happened was they laid off. I know at Foothill they laid off all the adjunct faculty, myself included. And the only reason why we lasted as long as we did till 2010 is because of the Stimulus Act. It was Congress and President Barack Obama signed in soon as he got into office. I think it was like spring of 2009. So it gave us another year and a half. But of course the funding for that ran out too. And as things would have it, you had to solve the problems of the present, and the problems of the present was high unemployment at that time. And like I said, a lot of these kids, their parents couldn't afford to send them to a 4-year institution right out of high school. So the mission statement of the college, it literally changed overnight. It went from, serving communities and ever-changing times. I think it was something like that Kenyatta's mission statement was at the time. And you really can't find it now because they changed their mission statement. And now it's something like, job training, right, for people that lost their jobs, and also transfer students. That became their big emphasis, was to get more and more students that are coming out of high school, and they go through their general education and then they transfer off to either a UC or a state college. And there were a lot more kids during that time, an extraordinary amount of kids came to Kenyatta and CSM especially during that time period. So obviously there wasn't money for community-based programs like that. There was a redirection of funds. So for most of us, we were, out of a job. For myself, I'm very fortunate because I do have this background in kinesiology and gerontology as well, a master's. So I knew I could make a living somehow in fitness. I just wasn't going to be a quote-unquote adaptive PE instructor. And then one day, I was teaching for the city of Redwood City at the time. I still am to this day. And I run into Barbara because I'd see her all the time, adaptive PE for Kenyatta was at Veterans Memorial Senior Center. And I run into her and she's like, hey, we need to talk. And I'm like, I want to talk to you too. So we went in her office and we hashed it out for about 2 hours and we figured out what we were going to do. We were going to run a nonprofit organization and basically continue Kenyatta College's program on where it had existed for the better part of 30 years at Veterans Memorial Senior Center. And, it was kind of touch and go at first. I think our first actual session started, I believe it was in August of 2010. Because Kenyatta College basically ran out. She basically retired at the end of the summer session, which I think was July, somewhere around there, early August. And then after that, we had our nonprofit up and running, and by September 2010, we were full go. And I brought a lot of people over from Foothill's program, and it was great. It was neat to be able to bring students with me that I knew I was going to miss. So, how does this all fit into Active Aging Week? That's what you're probably wondering. Well, it fits into it because part of our partnership with Veterans Memorial Senior Center is we plan events for them. And we are, in many ways, the main attraction when seniors come to use the senior center. Adaptive PE is big. A lot of them come in the morning and exercise. They go across the street for lunch. They have a great lunchtime nutrition program. They have a great chef in Gavin. And it works very well, until COVID kicked in. And then things, of course, changed quite a bit. We do have a strong lunch program continuing. It's just you pull up in your car and they hand you your lunch. You don't get to go in and socialize and eat. But that'll happen again.
Yep.
Just not tomorrow. Yeah.
The rest of this year.
Correct. So the beauty of it too was, VMSC, Veterans Memorial Senior Center, never charged Kenyatta College rent because of the service that they provided. Well, when we formed our nonprofit, Bruce made a deal with us and said, hey, we want to continue the same type of relationship that we had before. And long story short, we had a bunch of treadmills that Kenyatta owned, and they decided to donate to our program, which was great. So we didn't have to go, the first year we didn't have to come up with a big expense as far as paying for equipment. And then, we wrote grants. The Sequoia Healthcare Foundation is our biggest, donor. And we also have, the West Valley Women's Federated. They've been very generous. I don't want to forget anyone, but I should have wrote them down. But there's a lot of organizations that have given us money, even health insurance companies, PAMF.
Oh yeah, Kaiser.
Kaiser, yeah. They've given a decent amount. But yeah, it's mostly West Valley Women's Federated and Sequoia Healthcare Foundation that has given us the biggest, grants. In fact, Sequoia Healthcare Foundation is like a 2-year grant, the last one we got, which really is coming in handy now.
Right.
So anyway, without getting too far into the weeds of what that is, you can leave a question in the comments if you want to know more about that stuff. I could leave you a link in the comment section or the description. So what we do is what Bruce wanted us to do once we had our program up and running is he said, this is back in 2010, hey, can you plan Active Aging Week? Because that's a lot of work. Bruce is the manager of the senior center, and I'll say fitness isn't really his thing. Fitness is our thing. So it made a lot of sense for us to take it over, and that's, part of our partnership, That's what we provide. And we've been successfully, implementing Active Aging Week since 2010. So it's been 10 full years. It's amazing.
So why don't you tell us, what are the topics this year?
Oh yeah, so there's a lot that we're going to have. Not as much as other years.
Sure.
Frequently we have talks on nutrition. We have talks. I've done a lot of talks on like exercise and the different types of arthritis, osteoarthritis versus rheumatoid arthritis. And then, every year we have certain things that we do. I've done a lot of fascia talks and show people how to roll muscles, how to feel better. That's not the most, I don't know how that's going to go over on Zoom. So what we're really largely focusing on right now is a TheraBand routine I'm going to do for the seniors, for not just seniors, but anyone who tunes into this. Also, I'm going to teach a whole entire, I call it get up off the ground and move. So it's basically just transferring onto the ground, get up off the ground. And that's a major thing for a lot of older adults. So workshop is the word I was looking for. So it's going to be a small presentation on just getting up off the ground, staying mobile, hip mobility, hip stability, posture, core strength. All that stuff is included in getting up off the floor. Very important. You'd be amazed how many people fall down and cannot get up. So I'm going to give them tools and techniques for how to get up off the floor. And even if you struggle to get up off the floor, you can use other things as tools, such as a chair. And I even try to come up with these like emergency scenarios. If you're in a parking lot and you fall, what do you do to get up? So I always say, crawl. If you find a truck, something higher up off the ground, that can help you get yourself up. Just make sure that truck's not running. Things like that, helpful tips. And then there's going to be other people presenting. I think we're going to have some yoga presenters, some of our instructors. We might have Tai Chi as well. Yeah, and there's I should have the whole schedule in front of me, but as of the moment that we're doing this, we're still finalizing everything with the schedule. So it won't be as big as in previous years, but we're going to have some really good quality content. And it's going to be on Zoom, so you'll be able to see it. And I think we're going to try to present one of them live. So that's largely going to have to do with Bruce. And I think it could be the TheraBand routine. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I meant to say yeah.
Okay.
And I don't even know how to describe that. Not on Zoom, not on the digital domain. Yeah, not virtual, yeah. Yeah, possibly in person, and then probably both virtual as well for people that aren't comfortable coming, with social distancing, of course, and masks and all that. We haven't finalized that yet, so that's why I'm not so quick to give you a schedule right now, because It's not formally written up yet, but we're close to finalizing it. Okay? So, what else do you want to add about Active Aging Week? Saying anything you think it should be about, or?
No, I mean, every year, like, the topics, I think, have been really relevant for the seniors, or even sometimes I have people coming from my other classes, like brain game stuff is always good too.
Yeah.
Something you don't find too much. Well, now you find a little bit more in exercise classes, but not as focused. So brain games are good. And I'm trying to think.
Yeah, there's a lot. We also have flu shots that week. I think we're going to have it this year as well.
Yeah, we are.
And Safeway has been sponsoring that. And we also have Pets in Need. You can get your dogs chipped or your cats chipped. Mm-hmm. People even chip cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the first one
Cats
at the door.
Well, they're just so independent, Cats do their own thing. But anyway, yeah. So if you're worried about little Scruffy, you can get them chipped and find them on your phone. And then, there's a lot of things we have in the periphery going on during that week as well. And like I said, not quite as big this year, but we're managing, and it's going to be high quality content. Definitely. And in the past, I've done a lot of digital presentations. I've also had workshops on how to use your iPhone, which is really essential right now during the pandemic. And they're always happy to know that they can use their iPhone, they can use their iPad. A lot of the same principles apply.
Too bad we didn't teach them Zoom.
Yes, okay, it wasn't perfect, but we just didn't, a year ago I would never have been able to see this coming, but, we did other things too. Facebook came a couple of times. That was interesting too, showing seniors how to use Facebook. So yeah, it's we have a lot of interesting programs that are going on during that week. Normally, we're not going to do that this year, of course, because it's not as practical, but pretty sure next year we'll have to do probably one more year of virtual active aging, and I promise it'll be more comprehensive when we have another year to plan it out. Yeah. We really were just like, we weren't even sure we were going to have it not that long ago, back in the summer, but it came together, we made it happen.
That's the cool part about the group. I feel like they've been really good about picking up things where other places have given up on it for whatever reason, be it the community colleges or some of our local hospitals. So that's been the, I think, really great part. So the seniors aren't just out on the, trying to find all these resources out on their own, especially if they're not that connected on the internet. But it actually even looks like the state of California is working on stuff, and I don't know the full history on it, but this whole being inclusive of everybody at all ages, so I'll drop it in the comment section. I think it's even in the DMV or cal.gov website, where they've been promoting aging for a while. When I looked at the website, it looked really different now, so I just want to confirm that it is the same organization. But I think it might have been Gavin Newsom's initiative, basically coming up with what he calls a master plan. So that's really, it's good that he's so inclusive about a lot of things.
Yeah.
So
I think he's been pretty malleable through this whole thing. He's definitely had to make tough decisions, and also he's listened to research. He's opened up things that he had closed before. I mean, bottom line, no one knew what they were doing early on in this. Even the epidemiologists were stumped. Once, now we're more than 6 months into it, we're learning a lot more. So we know what we can do. We know we don't have to close down everything. We can wear a mask. That right there will reduce and saves a lot of lives, reduce infections. And then just, hygiene, washing your hands, cleaning things that you touch before and after. Yeah, it's working because the numbers are coming down.
So in the years past,
Yeah.
what has been, you feel like, the most useful presentation?
Well, for me, what I like about it on a kind of a global goal was just to recruit more people into our program. I mean, that's what we do for a living. We improve people's quality of life and quality of movement. That's what we do. And it's nice that, you know, we get some more people every year. Some years have been more than others, but there's always people that you get during that week that really buy in, and it's great. You have somebody new that you're friends with and you're going to be friends with for the next however many years, right? But I don't necessarily look at it just as a recruiting tool, because there's a lot of people that will show up. There's a lot of looky-loos that love to come to these things, but just can't quite pull the trigger on exercise and joining classes. But it's still nice. They see what we're doing, what they need to do to improve their health, and yeah, it's just getting the movement, the message out there. That's the primary goal. And you know, I've done so many talks and presentations over the course of the 10 years. I don't think I could remember every one I've done, but I have a general memory of all of them. You know, what the basic emphasis was. And I tried to get more creative every year. We've had Name That Tune, which is fun.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot of fun, I'll tell you. Yeah.
Fridays.
Yeah, Fridays we would do that. Yeah, I mean, we try to make it interesting for you. So it's fun. It's not just, oh, I got to exercise. We're trying to make exercise fun. And there's a lot of things, like Saint said, neuroplasticity things and brain games. You know, music's a very important part of health and wellness. And yoga and, you know, everything. Strength, endurance, taking care of your fascia. Those are all things.
Sounds a popular
Mobility, independence, so you confident you can get up off the floor if you fall. Or just have the confidence to get down on the floor to exercise.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the whole reason why we do the ground-based training when we're
Sure.
younger, is so that we're comfortable when we get older to get up and down. So
Yeah.
it might not be fun when you're crawling in our class, but this is the reason why.
Mhm.
It's not because we like to watch people struggle.
Hate us now, thank us later.
Or that
Yeah.
I put get-ups in the workout.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everybody's like, why am I doing this?
Yeah. Definitely. So yeah. So I don't really have anything else to add other than that. I'm going to do an interview with Bruce probably Tuesday, maybe Wednesday of next week, and I'll try to post it up that night. And yeah, we're going to have a fun active aging week coming up on the week of October 5th. All right. So if you have any questions, please leave a comment. Of course, like the video if you like it, and subscribe. We're trying to build this channel to a wider audience. We want to reach as far as we can reach and help people out. That's what we do. All right? All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm Scott Lohman, if I didn't mention it.
And I'm saying Womack.
All right. We'll see you soon. Bye.